6 Super Bowl rings, 14 years offensive coordinator, 4 years as a head coach. What a pleasure to have Josh McDaniels back. There's so many things today I want to touch on. I said this as that for years I was sort of like the cake is the quarterback, left tackle, the run game, the D-line, the O-line. Receivers are the icing. They make it fun.
Yep.
But they're not essential. And then the rule changes. And then they became more essential. But I'm looking at the resurgence of running backs. Baltimore, Green Bay, Detroit, Washington, power teams. It's a cyclical league. And in the last year and a half, something has happened where teams now are moving back to the run game. Why?
Yeah, I think in many regards it's the defense's response to those elite players on the outside. And when there's more safeties in the deep part of the field and less people down near the line of scrimmage, there's just less things you can do to get those guys the ball. And so the guy that's standing by the quarterback or behind the quarterback becomes more valuable because, honestly, that's the right thing to do. When there's a light box or a fair fight inside, you give those guys the ball. And you can see there's a lot of great running backs in this league.
Right.
You know, I don't think they should be devalued, but you know, based on how defenses are defending, you know, teams and offenses, I think they become more valuable as we're seeing right now.
Historically, receivers have been noisier and more verbal. I've always said they're kind of the pro basketball players of football. They break the huddle first. It's one-on-one. They're often the biggest, longest athlete. They want the ball. And I get it.
Yep.
But like in Philadelphia now we got an issue. We're red hot. We're clearly off the bye, Josh. We're going to throw less. We're going to run more. The centerpiece is Saquon. It's working. How would you quiet the locker room? There are increasing stories. Brandon Ingram, Jalen, you know, Dak and Dez had an issue, and Dallas, I thought, made the right decision. They moved Dez out. A.J. Brown's really good. How do you quiet the noise in season?
Yeah, I think you have to tell them and show them. Honestly, showing them is more important than telling them. That you're interested in getting them the ball. And the only reason you want them to have the ball is because they're going to help your team win more than any other player at that position. And there's certain guys like A.J. Brown, and we just saw one game on Monday night with Jamar and CD and, you know, and the Justin Jeffersons of the world and these guys that they're elite players. They deserve to have the ball. As an offensive coordinator and the quarterback, you want to get them the ball. But there's also a lot of attention being paid to those guys. So, I think there's a balance there, you know, between forcing it to them too much where, you know, they're trying to take them out of the game and now you're just punting a lot, you know, and throwing a lot of incomplete passes and not getting them the ball at all. And so I think you just try to find the balance, you know, keep them involved early in the game. I think that's important is to get them involved right away just so they touch the football. They're in the flow of the game. And then the design of the offense when you are throwing the ball, you know, it should go through those guys. It just should.
So there are decisions. Russell Wilson is, I would say, there's a resurgence, but he was seen as a declining player in Denver. Kirk Cousins appears to be declining fast. Brady was remarkably able to stay at a high level, and his decline was very, very hard to see. You're like a master at this. This may not something that you would talk publicly about, but what would be the first thing you would see with a quarterback and think, whisper to Bill or whisper to a coach, he doesn't have blank anymore?
Yeah, I think, and we didn't see it with Tommy. Yeah. You know, and he's rare, as you know. I mean, like very rare. The rare, you know, to me, if you start to feel like they don't want the hits, you know, and the ball's kind of coming out maybe earlier than it should.
Beat early.
Yeah, beat early because they just know what's about to come, you know, and hit them in the chest or in the shoulder or, you know, those start to accumulate over time and they start to hurt more. And we were talking about it with, you know, the NASCAR drivers that get a little older, that all of a sudden they start to fall down the leaderboard and they're still driving for the same organization. They're still doing the same thing.
They got 4 kids.
Yes, right. There's a little bit more to drive for or play for.
Right.
And I don't even know that anybody makes those decisions consciously. I think it's almost a subconscious decision that your body makes for you that, you know, it may not want to go through this anymore.
Yeah. If you were in Chicago, so it structurally as an organization on tilt. Give me the first thing. I'm Caleb Williams. You walk into the room. What is the first thing you do? Because he was struggling, ascending, plateaued, dropping. What's the first order of business to a talented young quarterback to get him right?
You're talking about right now?
Caleb Williams.
Today.
If you walked in today. How
Yeah.
do you get it back?
Yeah. What do you feel most comfortable doing?
I think, ask him.
Yeah. What do you feel most comfortable doing? Because the offense isn't going to be very good doing things that I like if you don't like them.
Right.
And so I think the biggest thing you have to do is what's in his bucket that he feels really good about, and you start with that, and honestly major in that. And then if you say, hey, I think there's a few things that would help us as a team if we could add these to your bucket, and then at that point, you got to have the conversation, and I think he deserves to know why you want to do that. I think if we do this, that helps us get the ball down the field more. We can get this guy the ball if we do some of this. But I think, to me, it has to start with where he's comfortable. And look, these rookie quarterbacks, as we've seen, there's been flashes of great play from all of them.
And all of them have had bad days.
That's right. And some of them have hit like a little bit of a lull or a wall, if you will. And then you kind of got to get them back. And so I think, to me, it starts with, what do you feel most comfortable doing on a play-to-play basis? Let's do more of that. Let's major in that, and then see where we go from there.
So in any industry, if something's viewed as a high-stress job, and there's a lot, it could be a fighter pilot, could be an astronaut, the company usually gives you longer time to recover, right? And so let's not perfectly analogous to football, but when you're the Chiefs and every game is a one-score, one-possession game, is it possible that it does wear on you over the course of a season, that you need some layups in this league, and they don't get any layups?
Yeah. It can if you're focused on just the result. I think if you're focusing on the process, and that team knows on Monday when they watch the film that they're playing pretty good football, and right now, based on all of our injuries and the situation and circumstances that we have, this is the best we're going to do right now. You know what I mean? Not saying that we can't improve, but look, the days of thinking you're going to go in there and score 40 every time, that's not right now.
Yeah. That's
not this team, Now, when they had Hollywood and Rasheed and, they were healthier and they lost Pacheco for a while and all. I mean, look, they've had to deal with a lot of things this year.
For 3 years, really.
Yeah, they really have. And they've played more games than everybody else.
Yes.
Too. So look, that happens. That happened to us in New England, where there's an attrition that takes over when you're the team that's playing the final game of the season. So I think, to me, I think they'll do a great job. Andy does a phenomenal job always, but he'll keep it in perspective. There's value in winning close games. They're going to have to win them in January in that fashion. Yeah. And so I think his team is mentally and physically tough. And for that, I think there's a lot of positive.
Finally, we've seen Jordan Love of Green Bay and Jalen Hurts. Both staffs have said, we want you to throw less. So Jordan Love's getting in the 22 to 23 attempts. In fact, anytime he's thrown over like 30, 35, they're 0-3. And by the way, it works. And they have a great running back.
Yep.
Philadelphia, Jalen, at 34, we get loose. At 24, we're great. When you had Tom, and even though Tom is the most efficient and productive quarterback ever, was there a number you looked at and you would be in game thinking, this isn't what I want, we're going too many innings here? Because Tom was obsessed to begin with. Tommy would just throw it 50 if you let him. Did you go into games or over the course of a season? Okay, now we're in November.
Yep.
Did you have a number as a coordinator?
It depended on who we were playing.
Okay.
If you go into the game and you say, listen, throwing the ball against Dwight Freeney and Mathis and that pass rush, 52 times is not a good idea.
Right.
We need to run the ball, 28, 30, 32 times for us to feel better about controlling the game.
Right.
That's different. There were times where we played, the Baltimore Ravens, and we went into the game saying,
you can't run.
We're definitely throwing it 55 or more times. And I think the decision during the week and the comfort you get with it, and you tell the team, this is how we're going to try to win the game.
Would you tell Bill that?
Yeah. Well, he would tell me that. I don't think we're going to make many yards running the ball this week. And you say, okay, well, how many is too many,
And you asked him that.
7, you know what I mean? So you just say, all right, we're going to put all our eggs in this basket. Now you might design the offensive game plan a little differently, maybe a couple less down the field throws and more screens or something else that are extensions of the running game, but that stop the rush from becoming a big factor. But I think what these teams are after is complementary football.
Right.
Don't turn it over. Score points when we get our opportunities. Give the ball to the back as much as we can. Create some big plays off that and play action, and then play good defense.
Yeah, get a lead. Run games are great with a lead, not just trailing.
That's
They're
right.
Great with a lead.
That's right.
Love having you on, man.
I love being here.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.